So every now and then, things have to change. Unfortunately, things that were great, things that worked, they just reached their final conclusion. As you may have noticed, I have stopped working consistently with Stephen Bedall, who some of you know as Stevie B. It was a mutual decision, but we felt at the time it was something we had to do. Now, Steve has come back just once to be on the podcast since then, but it just doesn't seem like the partnership will be able to continue in the same way it has. And it's sad. It's too bad, really. I'll miss the weekly banter, but the Make Music Income podcast, as it was, is officially and irrevocably over. Now, I want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast, but sometimes things just have to end. Luckily, this broadcast is premiering on April Fool's Day, which is a fitting day for a podcast by music fools for music fools. And today, on the 100th episode of the Make Music Income podcast, we enter a new realm of podcasting. As a matter of fact, guess who's here for it? It's Stevie B, everybody.
Psych.
Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. And welcome to the Make Music Income podcast, episode 100. I think that deserves extra applause, a party noise, and maybe a bicycle horn. Can you hear those? Can you hear those effects?
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
Okay, good. We are having some fun here. Well, it's good to be here with my friend Stevie B. Welcome to episode 100 of the Make Music Income podcast. We're not in Hawaii like we were for our 50th episode. It was too hot anyway. And the chairs, remember the chairs problem. So, but I do have some ideas about the evolution of this podcast. It is going to be changing a bit, and it has been changing over the past 20 episodes or so. But I'll say that for the end of the show, and maybe even next week. But today, Steve and I thought it would be cool just to talk about the changes we have both been going through and the changes that we are seeing in music and music income from each of our perspectives. And we thought this would help you guys as well. So first, as we are wont to do on our podcast with people such as your ilk, Steve, let's talk about your week. Tell us what you've been doing since we saw you last, and tell you what you're up to right now.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me back. It's good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've had a great week so far. My voice is a little raspy. I spent the last 2 days in the studio all day. My band, Wooden Horsemen, we're just finishing up a record. So we recorded it live off the floor, which was really exciting. We've never done that before. And we rehearsed regularly 3 months leading up to the session. So the last 2 days were really important. We'd all been really looking forward to it. And man, it is just so awesome to get together with your buddies and play music. And, you know, that's where all the magic happens, in the studio. And doing it live off the floor was so cool.
Explain live off the floor. What that?
Yeah, what I mean is like traditionally, like what we've always done is kind of do like sort of a piecemeal thing with recording. You know, we'll like track the drums separately, and then everyone will kind of like add their parts. You know, because we have the luxury of being able to do that so easily with like, you know, digital recording and portable setups and whatnot. And that's always been kind of like the easiest and most economical way to do it, although it's not very efficient and it doesn't really represent like what actually happens when people get together and play music together, right? So you lose some of the magic that way. You have some more control over the individual parts, but you lose some of the magic. And, you know, if you go back far enough, all of the great records were recorded with just the band being in the room together, playing the music, you know, and performing it. And that's what we wanted to do. It's just that you have to be very, very well rehearsed going into that situation. So we made the commitment to practice regularly leading up to it, and put all the amps and the drums in one beautiful studio here in Vancouver, and we just went for it. We recorded 5 songs, and we worked with a brilliant engineer here in town. His name's Jesse Gander. Big shout out to Jesse, and man, it was so much fun. So
Now,
my voice is a little worn out from the experience, but
speaking of voice, does this include recording the voice at the same time as you're tracking the actual music, or do you do the vocals separate?
That's the one thing. We do scratch vocals. So I sang the vocals so everyone could hear me singing, but we retrack them. That's the one thing that we retrack afterwards, along with like a few little bits and pieces, like some guitar, like
solos and stuff.
Yeah. So some solos. Yeah. We added some brass onto it as well. It's not completely 100%, the exact thing that happens live, but I'm singing and playing at the same time so that it feels like like we're at a show,
Are you cut off from them when you're singing so that you're not bleeding into drum mics and things like that?
No, all the bleed's there. All the bleed's there, except we were just, it was carefully engineered so that the bleed wasn't excessive, and the drums are so loud that the bleed wasn't an issue. But there is, some bleed from the amps and the voice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
What else is going on? Yeah, so producing a lot of my wife's work recently, which has been cool. I've been sort of doing a little less of my own composing lately, and she's been writing like crazy. We've got her a sort of tentative deal on Artlist. Nice. So that was sort of our goal for the last few months, is to get her on there. And so we're just trying to set up a profile for her, and there's a bunch of hoops to jump through there. But she's been writing a lot. She's been having so much fun with it. It's super fun for me to just have the composition and then put it all together and mix it and put all like the bells and whistles on it. Super fun. Cubase, full-time, doing short videos for them, long videos for them. They've got me really busy every month. I've got like a quota of shorts that I got to produce for them. And working on some new courses for the Academy, as well as some new products for the production music tools. So like, as usual, man, just like a lot going on and trying to balance everything. And it's hectic, but it's all is well.
Cool. Well, what happened to me this week is, besides all the normal things, I'm still teaching at school, although I'm teaching an online class now rather than physical students in person. Now I'm teaching online, just like I do when I do Zooms or whatever with people from my communities or masterminds or whatever. And now I'm teaching 20 to 30 students at a time online, because our school also teaches out across the United States to students, which I kind of like, actually. It's a lot like just doing my YouTube channel. I'm so used to doing lives, and talking to no one. It's pretty easy. It's actually a little easier. But so anyway, I've been doing that, of course, still. And also writing a whole lot and trying to just stockpile stuff and produce and make some changes in the channel and just all the normal stuff. However, one thing that I did find out this week, I came to a realization. I have a limit. We have all these things we do, and they just stack on top of each other. Our own music. We have our YouTube channels. You're working for your wife. I'm working for clients, and I'm also teaching. You're doing your band thing, and all my things stacked up on each other, including time on the weekends or whenever my wife and I are off on the same day and we are able to spend the day together. I have that time, that I spend. And all of that, apparently, Steve, is finite. In other words, there is a finite amount of space and time I have, because our friend Ian, who is in our masterminds and academies and stuff, he invited me to this thing called Meta. Are you familiar with Meta, the Theory Academy thing that he's got going on?
No. What's that all?
It's like another academy where they do challenges based on music theory, and it's really nerdy, and it's really cool. But it's like based. To be honest, I haven't really even experienced it much of it because Ian invited me to it, and I thought, oh, I'd like to try that. Maybe it'll push more composing. I always like to push composing, but to be honest, I could never get to it. I could never find a moment to get to the site, to take a look at it, and to just spend time on it and maybe do one of the challenges or whatnot. And I find the guy finally says, "Hey, I noticed you haven't taken advantage of your free month." And I'm like, dude, I can't find a moment. I cannot find a time. Every second is taken by the things that I already do. Every second. And I don't even have enough time to go to the gym because I'd like to go to the gym a time or two a week. And that's another thing that's like blocked out right now because of everything. So
yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny, like I still like we're human beings. Like we have to actually go out into the world and like get some fresh air every now
and some food.
There's like a certain like low level anxiety that I have every time that whenever I'm not working, because there's always a pile of things. There's always things to do. There's always a backlog for me. But you have to just come to some kind of weird acceptance of that and not let it bother you too much. And then, of course, there's some things that I'm overdue to get to always. Like I'm always behind on track feedback for the members of the academy or I said, I have a friend who's music that I've been meaning to produce for a while, and it's been on the back burner. And I'm trying to figure out other things, and I feel bad always, but you come to some agreement about it, where it's like, okay, if I go and take a hike this morning, something work-wise is going to be suffering and like not getting done because of this, but you do just have to like go and live as well.
Yeah, I am thinking about forcing myself to go over to Disney tomorrow morning, even on a Friday, even though I have many things to do. I have a new course that I'm trying to get edited. I have, and everything, like you said, there's this anxiety, like I should stay right here in this chair and do all the things. There's composing to be done. I've got albums due to libraries. I should just do that. But I'm literally thinking of taking like an extended Easter break and even staying home tomorrow night to teach. One of the benefits of online teaching is sometimes I can teach right from here. And so I don't have to go over to the school. So I think I'm going to take a 3-day break, not work at all Saturday and Sunday because my wife is off, and we're both just going to take off the time and do whatever. I don't know if we'll go anywhere or if we will, but I won't be in here. This room closes. And actually, it's just a room between the family room and our bedroom. So, but the lights stay off. The computer stays dark, and I'm going to have to force myself. But otherwise, I'm doing all the things I normally do. I'm trying to pull the videos down to about one good video a week. I think I do love making the videos, and I do love making the podcast. And I'm still trying to weigh how the podcast works with the videos. And sometimes they're the same. Like this week, it's the same. It's an interview with Shane. And next week it'll be this, and this will be the podcast and the video. And so I'm just trying to get all that kind of done, and still working on a lot of songs, and still working on a lot of client work, a lot of client releases. I have a lot of Christian gospel clients, and they release at Easter. So there's a lot of releases going out today and tomorrow and on Easter and all this kind of stuff. So that's what's going on with me. But today, what I really wanted to talk about with you, since we haven't had the chance to talk in a while, and kind of go over how things have changed since for the past, 3 to 4 months. I know that you've been on a bit of a pilgrimage to change kind of things. And I know when you started the year and I started the year, we both kind of started in similar ways. But I think things have to change. And boy, we are seeing so many changes happen in our industry right now that we have to be able to adapt. And guess what? This is something you've been talking about since the very beginning of this podcast. In the very first episode, you were always like, at that time, Motion Array was paying like crazy money. And I mean, you've made crazy money with it since then, but I'm saying for everybody, it was paying crazy money. You just put music up there and it just made dollars and dollars and dollars. And we were all making $300, $400, $500. Everybody was. And then they had that change right after we started the podcast where everything changed. And then you had to really get on the staff picks to make money. And that still is the way it is. But that's just one example. And you had kind of predicted that. You said, I'm just hanging in here because this is all going to change. And I think Motion Array has changed again a little bit, and it's getting ready to change again. And so that's what I want to talk about today is the changes. Are you seeing all these changes happening too? We'll get into all the individual things in a minute, but overall, are you seeing things change in 2024 that weren't this way last year?
I mean, I don't know. Things haven't really changed that much for me, in terms of like what I've been doing. I still focus on Artlist, primarily. They still send me briefs. The one thing I've noticed that I think, which I saw, coming a long time ago, is just that the quality bar is it just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the case for Motion Array too. I noticed that Motion Array is adding album covers or like art to all the tracks now. I don't know if you got that email the other day.
Well, I updated mine. It's really just from what I understand, a picture of your company or of your logo.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
It's a channel logo type of thing.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, let's get into these a little bit. Because stock is one of the things I want to talk about because I think it's in trouble. But I want to talk about it here in a little bit. But let's start with where we are with composing. And I know this has become, with you and with me both, a much more featured part of our focus this year. Not that it ever wasn't, but we have learned that the way to make more money is to get more music out there, and if we're going to make money from music. So talk about how composing has taken more of a center stage from, last year at this time. I think you were probably a little bit more focused on other things, including you were doing a lot more Motion Array because you were having some big months early last year on Motion Array, I believe. And then you've kind of changed, and now with Artlist. And how has your composing changed, and with clients and all this kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, it's for me. I just spend more and more time with tracks. It's whereas like last year, maybe there were some tracks that I could feel confident about after maybe like working on for a day or something like that. And sometimes I still get in a flow and I'm able to like finish a track in a day, like, and when I say a day, I don't mean like I'm working for 8 hours. I'm talking about like you sit down like for like a focused 4-hour session and you're able to come out with something like pretty awesome. That was sort of the case with like the last video I did on YouTube. I featured the folk voices, Hearth and Hollow library.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of like get a track done that I felt pretty good about, after about 4 hours, but it's still not at like Artlist level quality, and like, that's what I'm always working towards is like, and that requires like, working on a track for like, for weeks, coming back to it again and again over a period of weeks and refining it, getting it to a point where it's exceptional, and that really is where my composing has changed. It's like, it's a hyper focus on quality. And if it takes time, it takes time. I just don't think that I'm at a point anymore where I can just crank out material. And the ideas have to be really exceptional. They have to be excellent. It has to sound really stand out above everything else. So for me, that the process has just gotten more meticulous. And the days of me like finishing a track in one sitting and then like uploading it to Motion Array are long behind me now. And as for Motion Array, that the problem still is there and it's been this way for a long time. It's just that there's a hierarchy of places where I pitch my music now, and
Yeah, what is
emotionally.
that hierarchy?
Well, it's Artlist first,
Hmm.
because they're the ones that I think that's where it has the most opportunity to get synced.
Hmm.
Um, and in terms of getting the payout, it's the best. Um, and even if it's non-exclusive and there's no payout, there's still a lot of potential to earn money from there. So I think that Artlist is still my number one. And then if it is an Artlist, I have like I don't want to say a sync agent, but like someone I work with who is able to put it somewhere
Okay.
on my behalf. And that's worked out really great for me for about a year now. Um, if all else fails, then yeah, it'll go up onto Motion Array. But I can't put it there first, right? Because
Yeah.
the places that I need to pitch it to ahead of that are require some like or I mean I need to keep my options open in terms of exclusivity. So.
Gotcha. And I assume that means not even fooling with anything else. Pond 5, all that stuff is out the door and not even just messing
Yeah,
with it.
it's funny. I still get these sales from Pond Five, and I'm always grateful for them. I just got one like last week, and that's cool. I still get a payout from Pond Five. In terms of Audio Jungle, I've totally stopped paying attention to it, but Pond Five still seems to get some traction with these old tracks that I put up on there. It always surprises me. But no, in terms of uploading anything new there, I've totally stopped. All the stock libraries.
Even the
Yeah,
stuff to Motion Array, you just don't bother putting it on Pond 5 anymore or anyplace else.
no, no. And Motion Array, by the way, I still get payouts from them as well.
Yeah.
Like I still like it's still like 100, $200 or something like here and there,
Yeah.
which is great. But I haven't uploaded anything new there in quite a while.
At Motion Array, even.
No,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. So your composing is pretty much focused on your art list catalog and your other catalogs that might be worked by somebody or a library. Not a
yeah,
library, right? It's a sync, more of like a sync agent who finds uses and things like that. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. They're able to find sync uses, or they're able to find other buyout opportunities for me. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, my composing has also taken a turn, but quite a different turn than yours. I am since I'm not with Artlist. I can't say that my focus is on Motion Array and Pond 5 and creating for them. I haven't done that probably in a few years. I really just put everything that I'm not creating for libraries. I have a couple of sync libraries that I create specifically for. These are exclusive libraries, and they usually ask me for certain albums, and so I work for them creating those. But to be honest, that's almost one change that I've realized, or one thing I've realized this year, in addition to my limit of what I can do. I've realized that, I've talked for years on this channel that probably my goal was to get to licensing and away from clients. Teaching is a different thing. Teaching just happens online and at school as a byproduct of doing what I do. And because of my education and stuff, it just was a natural thing to do. And it brings money and benefits. But all that said, I've come to realize over the past 3 to 6 months that licensing is almost like another client. And the briefs and stuff that I get from certain ones, and I'm not a huge fan of briefs, but I do respond to them if I have something that a brief is asking for at a couple different places, and or if my libraries are asking for certain things. Because especially the libraries that are actually getting me placements, like really good placements. And I finally got some like CBS NFL placements, and I got a really kind of marquee Netflix placement. And those things are cool. But to some extent, and both those things I made before I made the deal with the library. In other words, I made the songs before I was with the library. I kind of pitched them to the library, and the library said, yeah, we'll take them. So I didn't make them because they told me they needed it. Now, since then, one of the libraries has asked me for another sports album of percussion stuff. And, when you do so many of one type of song, after a while, you're like, I don't know if I can do any more of these. I
Yep.
feel like I'm getting burnt out on these. But
Yeah.
My composing has still taken another turn other than that because I'm getting back into a lot of my stuff that I did during my master's, which is more classical based. And that's all stuff that almost has no use in sync and in licensing, unless I was like writing for a TV show or something, like the composer for a show. This is just stuff I purely enjoy, and I just do because I'm just having a ball experimenting with orchestral sounds and creating stuff. Where it's going to go, I don't even know. And
Yeah.
but I have to have that side. I have to have that side that is like, whoa, I love this. And if I put it out, I'll put it out as albums, and it's all non-exclusive. I'm going to keep. The other thing I've really tried to do this year is really write everything else except for what libraries want is non-exclusive. I'm keeping for me, and I do non-exclusive deals only. I'm starting to do meet and get, like you said, sync agents and talk with music supervisors and get these list of people that I can send stuff to and say, I'd love to make a deal with you on this song if you're interested in this song. And that's the ultimate goal for me this year, is to make more of those, lots of them, like 100 or more contacts, and work it all through Disco. And I had an interview with Disco lately, and they really told me how this works with music supervisors. So that's coming out here very soon, although his internet connection was not good. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but the information was really good. And I have a lot to share about Disco and how it works and how music supervisor, it's basically like a music supervisor and sync agent feed. It's like if you had a separate site just to work with them. And that's what it's like. And the way that
I've been underutilizing Disco for since I've first got it for my music. But I guess you kind of have to be writing like, art, like maybe artist like type music. Like if you're writing non-exclusive stuff, then it doesn't really work for pitching to sync, I guess, right?
Well, no, I'm putting everything up there. And so like if they need Halloween stuff, if they need Christmas stuff, if they need classical stuff, there's all kinds of uses that they might need. And my goal is that they will find out that my genres, that I'm a genre producer and not, I do pop music and country music with vocals and all those kind of things. And I'm doing more of that this year. I've got more pop and country and stuff like that coming out, because that's what that one big Netflix placement was. And that's how I got my first deal in the first place, was really high quality pop songs with vocals with great singers. So I'm going to do more of that this year. I've already done some. But my composing is really everything that I want to do. And then I'm going to put everything out there, and I'm going to try to do as much non-exclusive stuff and straight deals, not non-exclusive libraries, because I'll make a deal with like Crucial Music because they're non-exclusive, and I can put it out there. And everyone I've talked to says non-exclusive doesn't matter. All right, let's move on for sake of time, because I know you have a limited time here with us today. So let's move on to talking about real quickly about where our YouTube channels are and things like that, because that's what people know us. They know us from our channels and things like that. And I know you've taken a different tack on your channel as of late. And tell me what you're feeling about your YouTube channel and your YouTuber career.
Well, like you said earlier, I absolutely love making the videos. Mm-hmm. It's just so tough to carve out the time for them. And I'm at like probably, like maybe a slightly less than like once every 2 week average here this year, which sucks. Like I would love to do 2 a week, like it would be so much fun for me to be able to focus on YouTube like full time, just like to do that all the time. So I actually really enjoy the process of editing and coming up with the ideas. And it's rewarding when your video does well, like the last video I did on the folk voices. I was really stoked to be one of the first guys to review it on YouTube. I think I beat a lot of people to it because they sent it to me, and I did a review right away. And it's funny because earlier this year, I think I made a video saying I wasn't going to do any sample library reviews, but I was like, I'll make an exception for these guys because I just love what that.
Well, didn't you also do an Irish one that you featured?
Oh
some
yeah,
kind
well
of
that was
Irish.
more, I guess that was sort of more about like my own composition than it was about the library itself. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I
Gotcha.
kind of reviewed that library in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, so I think maybe what I should have said at the beginning of the year is that I'm only going to review the stuff that I'm really stoked on. But and that should always be the case. But
Yeah, absolutely.
um, yeah, no, YouTube's tough. I get a little bit down about it sometimes because like there's just so much to do all the time, and yeah, in general I'm pretty stretched. I'm stretched pretty thin, but I do have a lot of moments where I'm just like, I feel like I could really grow this channel and exponentially if I put a lot of time into it. But yeah, I'm at a limited amount of time for it. Like I probably won't get a video done this week, for next, because I'm behind on some of the YouTube content for Cubase. So like I'm making content for other people now as well. So that
How much of
stretches
that do
me
you do?
more. A lot, man. I'm doing six shorts a month for Cubase, which doesn't sound like a lot, but they take time, man. They take a
Yeah.
lot of time to put together, and like I can't just I can't half-ass it, like they have to be pretty good.
It's
They
one
have to
thing to reuse content from something you've already shot, and it's a whole nother thing
exactly.
to make a short video from scratch,
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that's a lot. Yeah, a lot of it is recycled content. I can't do anything like that. It has to be. They have to be like the concepts are made and created for to like that 1 minute, and like that's yeah. I'm still getting better at it. It takes me time to do it and edit it and all that. But um, yeah, I don't know. The channel is it's doing great.
Yeah, you just went over
It's
10,000.
yeah, I got over 10,000 subscribers. The monthly subscribers like average is it's always going up. It's slowly going up, and there still seems to be yeah. I get a good response from a lot of my videos, and um, it's more just yeah. I'm lamenting the. I guess I'm frustrated that I can't put more time into it because I do really enjoy it. So that's where it's at.
Yeah, I feel the same. That's why I've decided to try to just make one really good video a month. My problem is I just come up with all these ideas and I want to do them. And so like one day I just went live. I just like made a decision. I'm going live in an hour, and I just put my picture up and I went live in an hour to talk about a thing. And that's pretty easy way to put content together because you just go live and you just talk, and hopefully somebody shows up and you have questions. But I want to get a little bit. My channel is going to be 3 years old in July, believe it or not, and I think at that time and up till then, I'm going to start trying to get out of here and do a little bit more B-roll and stuff and on location type of talking, and when I talk about a topic, if it calls for it, and rather than just sit here and talk about a thing and do that. And I know people don't probably care, but I just artistically want to make something a little better. But again, it depends on how I can do that. But I have still a lot to talk about on this channel. I've considered, do I need to reform the channel to be more about music and less about only income? But there's so much to talk about music income. It's like everything is changing all the time. We just got a quickie payout from BMI in the past few days, as part of their deal. And I'm not doing a video on that. Jesse did one today on it. But my YouTube channel, I cover a lot of things that people care about and a lot of things that people don't care about. Like I just put out a video this week that is what we call in the YouTube world a 10 out of 10. And that's not a good thing in the YouTube world,
Oh
because
yeah.
when you're looking at the thing, it says, how has this performed? Worst of your last 10 videos.
I hate
But
that.
it was, I don't care though, because it was something that I wanted to talk about. And I want to talk about all the things because somebody's going to care about it. Somebody's going to be looking this up. It was about music income in the church and being a church music director or working as a player in the church or as a sound person in the church or whatever, and that there's income there. And I just felt like it was something that my channel needed to talk about, whether it gets 1,000 views or it gets 200 views. I just don't care. I want to make the videos I want to make, just similar to what you talked about at the beginning of this year. I want to make the things that I feel like are important for me to say as a creator. The end, And there was a great speech by Jack Conte at South by Southwest. I don't know if you saw it, where he said, Quit playing to the freaking, he didn't use freaking, algorithm. Don't make, we're not making content for an algorithm. We're making content because we're artists, and make what your heart wants to make and what you need to make, and quit trying to beat the algorithm and what YouTube's going to pick up, what Instagram's going to take up, what TikTok's going to pick up. Make what you want to make. That's where I think we're going to get real satisfaction. And I think that's what we've both done with the compositions too of late. We've moved away from saying, oh, Motion Array wants, corporate music, and we've been moving away from that for years and trying to get away from that, really. So, all right. So that's good talking about that. Speaking of Motion Array and speaking of Pond 5 and stock music, I'm going to go first here because I just have to say, I think that this particular thing, and this is hard for me to say because I have a course on this, and so do you. We have courses that teach people how to make this, and I still hear of people making good money with this, or like you just said, $100-$200 a month. I think my average last year was $250 to $300 a month from all the different sources. That's not bad, including Content ID. That's not bad, but I've even seen my Content ID going down, and which means videos using my music are going down, which means my music might be going down. And dude, I have to tell you, I think that all this, the AI thing that we've talked about, we're going to talk about AI specifically here in a minute, but I think that it's really affecting stock. I know it is for me. I use AI images and videos to make videos for clients. And I usually use Envato Elements for get video clips and pictures. Now I found this online site called Leonardo.ai, and it makes beautiful images for exactly my prompt that I want that I can't find on stock. And it makes it fast, and it makes it beautiful, and it's so unique looking, and it's not fake and weird looking. It's actually good. And that's where it's gotten. And as music gets that way too, if I was looking for stock music and I was a videographer and shooting these things, and I'd say, I need some background music, it's orchestral, and I could go to a site and say, give me some orchestral music that has these instruments and blah, 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 and it gave it to me, and I would be fine. I'll take that. I wouldn't even go searching through stock libraries anymore. I would just go get what I want by typing it in. And the stock libraries are trying to add that feature. Type in your words that you want, and we'll bring up videos. But it's not making new videos. It's just trying to find the videos that you want. They're trying to compete. But I think stock, for some people, may not be as easy as it was before. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, it depends on, I guess, how you're defining stock music. I mean, if it's something that you were able to put together in 20, 30 minutes, and it's pretty easy to do that these days with like splice loops and like arcade and that kind of thing, then I don't know, that process is in trouble. If it's that easy for you to make it, then you can be rest assured that like AI is going to be able to do a job as similar as that, like in a very, we're already seeing that. I think we're already at a point where AI is able to put together something that's like kind of passable as like a background music. And if you're creating content and you're okay with like kind of, I don't know, a dinky background music, AI background music, then that's great for you, right? You can pay like a small monthly fee and get like generic sounding background music for your videos, and that's awesome. If you're the kind of creator that wants like really intricate artist driven music, then you go to Artlist and you get really high quality music. I think it'll probably stay that way for a while. I mean, at some point or another, I guess, like, with the exponential development of AI, we're going to get to a point where it's able to create like really good quality music. I don't know when it'll get to the point where it's able to innovate on the level of like, some of the best artists out there. But I still think that, from my perspective, it's like I'm trying to just think like an artist. I'm trying to be as original as possible, and I'm not freaking out about all of it. But I think that if like writing like a simple corporate track or like, sort of like the Audio Jungle type, like happy clappy kind of
Oh
corporate
no,
stuff.
that we're so far away from that.
Like that's yeah, it's all, we're being far away from that for like quite a long time, and
Hmm.
I think that that's all very, that's all low hanging fruit for AI that's going to
And
get snapped up.
I think Pond 5 is probably the first one that's going to get picked off because, to be honest, Pond 5 is probably the easiest one to get stuff into. And they've already let all of our music on there be sampled by AI. They literally made an announcement. Here's some money because we just gave all your music to train AI. So I have no idea where all of that's going to go with that. But I think Pond 5 itself is going to be I've started to see that not be as consistent as it once was.
Well,
And
I think Audio Jungle is going to be the first one to go. That'd be my prediction, because it doesn't seem like I haven't heard anything from them in terms of training any models on AI. I mean, I think
yeah, I think they did.
Pond 5 was bought by uh, by Shutterstock, so it's just going to be a place where
No,
people can go and get like decent AI background music. I mean, I think Pond 5 will survive.
we
Audio
got
Jungle, I've
that.
heard about.
We did get that letter from Envato, except they gave us a way to beg out if we didn't
Oh,
want
sorry,
our stuff being.
they were doing the AI thing. Okay,
Well,
my
they
bad.
unlike Pond 5, they said who said, "We've given your music to to that. Here's money." Envato came to everybody and said, "We're if you're okay with your music being, we will compensate you for whatever music is used by AI. I don't know how, but you can opt out if you want to." They gave us the way to opt out, and so, but yeah, it did happen at one point with Envato, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think those two, Envato Elements, Pond 5, any other little ones like that. Motion Array
Look,
hasn't changed for me.
I mean, Motion Array still has some pretty high quality stuff. I mean, I think that, like, if there's always going to be a market for people who don't care about, like, high quality music, and they just
Yeah,
want to get like some decent AI
yeah,
background stuff, and it'll be the same thing for stock imagery and video, right? We're seeing that with like the Sora, like the Sora demo
yeah,
can tell us a lot about what the future of stock music looks like too.
yeah,
Uh, so I think, there's already free music, background music, via like the YouTube audio, like library, right?
yeah.
I mean, you can already get that, and it's been that way for a long time, and yet, Artlist is still on, doing great as a
Yeah, and
company,
Motion
and
Array hasn't changed. My
yeah,
Motion Array is the same as it ever was as far as paying and downloads. I don't get as many as other people, but mine hasn't changed. So, but also Motion Array is not like Pond 5. They don't just accept every single thing anymore. They have actually put out in the past few weeks a new list of demands of what your music should be like. I don't know if you saw
mhm.
this, but they said we're changing the way we take things. We're not just going to take everything, and they weren't taking everything. So
Yeah.
that's going to be maybe a change in stock music as well.
I think that the actual, what I've been thinking about lately is how stock video, once, you're we're I guess that the Sora, videos and stuff, it's still like in a, like, kind of like an enclosed, like they haven't
Yeah,
let that technology out of the bag yet for people to sort of adopt and create, video creation software with just yet. But once we see that happen, it's going to it's going to have an impact on the bottom line for these businesses, because like Motion Ray and Artlist both, have, a huge library of stock videos. So if people leave, if people are gonna be able to create incredible background, or like, videos with Sora or whatever, then they're not going to need to use, like, they're not going to have to have these monthly or annual subscriptions to Motion Array or Artlist anymore. That's going to affect their business. So
I
I'm sure
would
that.
I would predict that they will integrate that into Motion Array and into Artlist. That
I
Artlist
would
will
assume
have
so too. Yeah, yeah.
They'll just have I think Sora even said that you can use it as a API where you can build your stuff on top of that, just like ChatGPT does. You can build stuff on top of ChatGPT. If you're a company, you can use that for your own business. And I think this will be the same. And maybe the music thing will be the same. That's what we were hoping from the beginning, like Pond 5, maybe what they're doing is trying to say, we're building our own AI thing so that people can come and type it in, and we can take your music and give it to them in a way that they want. And hopefully that's the way it goes. And if it goes that way, we're all going to be fine, because it's going to be still paying us the pennies and the dollars and whatever for our downloads. And we're going to be getting, it's just like anything. We've got to get it monetized correctly, so, let's talk a bit about sync licensing and music in general, sync music and music for television. It went up again this year. If you look at the RIAA stats, Jesse just did a video yesterday about sync rising and the amount of sync licensing. This is something that I don't think AI is going to affect as much, because I think music supervisors are way more cognizant and they want artist material. As a matter of fact, who was it? Somebody said something about, I think it was one of my libraries, or my library said, we might be moving away from instrumental music, because the majority of what music supervisors want has vocals in it, or, unless it's like they want background dramedy music or something like that. But for the most, or sports, but everything wants vocals so that they can bring vocals in and out. Even this big Netflix placement I had was a vocal thing, and they would take the vocal out for certain parts and then bring the vocal back in for certain parts.
Right.
So I don't think that's something that AI is immediately going to, be part of for a while, because if there's one thing that sync licensing people, sync agents, or music supervisors want, it's authenticity in what they're hearing, which means real people doing real things, like your band recording live in a studio,
Yeah, well, I 100% agree. And this is really like a push that I'm meaning to sort of and a topic I've been meaning to tackle on both the YouTube channel as well as in the Academy, is just really kind of like thinking like an artist, or being like what Jesse is kind of described as like a hybrid artist composer, I think that's what's on the table for us. And with AI becoming better and better, we got to actually sort of think of ourselves as artists, and the days of being sort of an anonymous stock music or sync composer, I think are kind of slowly coming to an end. Yeah. So that's sort of how I'm thinking about everything. And I've spent a lot of time these last few years sort of just getting my composing and producing chops up to the level that I feel stoked about. But in the meantime, I've kind of neglected the artistic side of things, and I haven't really pursued the music, direct music supervisor pitching route. And looking forward, I think that's kind of like more the direction I'm going to be taking in the years.
You're going to have to. I think. I mean, I had a great guest on early this year, Mark, who's music sync agent, and he said the way they look for music, a music supervisor looks for music is, do they know any music artists that they already know, that they have in their directory, that they love their stuff, and they keep their disco is filled with songs that they have pulled from other discos from music artists that have pitched to them, and they just keep this well-oiled machine and populated with keywords and stuff, so they can just type in, well, who is that song gave me that Christmas song? Oh yeah, she's killer. I love her stuff. And they do that first. Their second choice is to go to a sync agent who knows, oh yeah, I have this guy Stevie B. He's one of my clients, and I have a song that would work perfect for you, because they go to someone who knows someone. And then the third one is, all right, we're up against it. How much money do we have left? We got what, $500, $1,000? Let's go to a library and find what we have. He goes, that is the way it works in this business. That is the hierarchy of how music supervisors find songs. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's all going for what they want and what they're needing, and the library is on the lower end. So I mean, you can get 1,000 syncs a year for low end dramedy music, and that might be some good checks for you. But the bigger money, especially upfronts and non-exclusively, is in a direct pitch to a music supervisor who's going to pay you 10 grand directly.
We're getting those featured placements,
Yeah.
And less of the background stuff, which doesn't amount to all that much, really.
Like
unless you're doing like a bulk,
Like that featured placement I had was at the top of a show on this show called Love is Blind, which is a big Netflix reality show. And it was a full minute, and with the whole logo of the show and everything up there. Had I made that direct sync to whoever that music supervisor is, I would have gotten the entire, whatever the money, the budget left for that or used for that, which is on top of the show feature. It's not like it was just some kind of background thing in the middle of the thing. It was a featured thing. I wonder if that would be a $2 to $5 grand, direct upfront plus whatever's going to happen in the back end with PRO. And I would own 100% of the publishing and the writing on that versus doing it through a library where I'll get whatever's left back comes to the library and half of that, and then only the writer's side. So it'll be interesting to see the numbers on that.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, I want to talk about teaching a little bit, and this goes mainly to our channels. I mean, I do my teaching job, and it's very similar. I talk about a lot of the similar things at my job that I do on my channel. And you still have your channel going on. How is that going, and how is that maybe changing in 2024?
Teaching is, it's going to be the same old. I'm just, I got like 3-4 new courses in the works right now, which I'm excited about. And yeah, as for like the YouTube channel, that's always going to be sort of the focus, to sharing information, sharing knowledge, and trying not to make it boring. Like trying to make it fast paced and exciting.
I watched somebody I heard some comment from somebody. They were talking about a video, and the guy said, "Hey, you should see this video. This guy talks about," I can't remember what the subject was. I think it was about music producing. And somebody came on and said, "Too bad all he's doing is using it as a way to make money for his course." And my thinking was, we pay teachers, we pay them, the people who teach us. And we've got into this culture of everything should be free, and nobody is deserving of any money for what they do because everything should just be free. Like we live in Star Trek world where currency is not a thing, and you don't have to pay your bills, and I don't have to pay my bills, and so the courses are there. However, I think you and I both kind of are super, super duper fair with our prices, and actually probably lower than if you met a business coach. I don't know if you've ever talked to like a YouTube business coach before, like who says, "Steve, let me tell you about what you should do with your online business that would make you more money." The first thing they would tell you and me both is you got to charge 3 or 4 times what you're charging for your courses and stuff.
Yeah, I just don't agree. I've never felt comfortable about keeping the the course content behind a crazy paywall, and gatekeeping it like that, and just because I think that in these times I just feel like there's a lot of people that are struggling, man, like and who want to learn, who want to get into it, and why keep it gated for only people who can afford ridiculous prices? It just feels it doesn't give me a good feeling at all. I think my prices are more than fair. I definitely had, my fair share of people tell me that I should be charging more. And I say, well, why? I mean, I'd rather have more people pay less than just a few people pay a lot. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, we both talk to a lot of beginners and people who are just getting into this, and beginners should not pay $2,000 for a year's course on how to do sync licensing. They should not pay $300 or $400 to take a course. They should pay $50 to take a course, or $25 to take a course. I mean, they should be, but somebody still has to make good content for them, and so I totally agree. And my courses are not expensive. And I'm actually thinking about bringing them all down and doing something similar to what you do as far as under one paywall, they can have all the courses. I haven't done that yet. But
Yeah.
I think that's the logical answer. Going higher is not the logical answer. I know people say you can get more if you get less people buying the high ticket things. But first of all, I don't think you should pay high ticket for stock music. For how to do stock music or sync, really, for that matter, because it's a long, long climb into money in getting money for stuff you get licensed. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, well, I think like, there's so much free stuff out there. I mean, if you want to learn about music production, I mean, there's like an unlimited amount of free content on YouTube, and that's how I learned when I first started too. Like but there was a few courses that I paid for, and the benefit of course is that it's just it's like a curated select. It's the information that you need condensed into one linear sort of way, and that's what you're paying for. It's just like you don't want to have to search and comb through a lot of material, or listen to someone that you don't really like, on YouTube. And I mean, we have so much selection. If you any subject you want to tackle, there's someone on YouTube to talk about it. But I think that the course, the reason I made the course is because I couldn't find the material that I wanted on the subjects that I wanted to learn about that didn't also come with like a lot of fluff and a lot of like irrelevant sort of material. So my courses are very just to the point. I don't mess around at all. Like, I'll just get right into it. Here's how you do things from scratch to the finished product. And I tried to keep like the talking and like the BS like down to like, an absolute bare minimum. And that's what I couldn't find scrolling through YouTube for free. There was just a lot of like, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't matter. Like, just give me the goods.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I want to make courses that come from my perspective, and because I can only teach from my experience. I can't just say, well, this is the way it all works. All I can say is this is the way it worked for me. And I would encourage you to give it a try if you haven't had a chance to do it. And or this is the result of the research I've done, and I've been doing for 20, 30 years on royalties, or what's happened to me over the past 8 years in sync licensing, and how I built up and how I got in and how it's working. And so I think if you come at it from a point where you're not trying to just sell a bunch of fluff, you're not trying to sell dreams, but you're trying to sell actual, this is how to do it step by step, how I do it, and see if it works for you. And I think we both do that. I think that's an authentic way of teaching. And that's what our podcasts are. And that's what our videos certainly are, and if you're like me, I just make a video when I'm really like stoked to do it. I'm not doing it necessarily to just because this other person did one like this, so I better do this, or the algorithm will really like if I do this, because it never works. You think, oh, this one's gonna kill, this one's gonna just go crazy, and then it's like, wait, nobody's watching it. And then you put one out, you're like, oh, this should be okay. And then poof, it goes crazy. So who knows? Who knows? And who cares? Because you got to put out the stuff. People come to us for what we are thinking. And so we need to put out stuff. And speaking of that, man, thanks for taking the time to be part of this episode, our 100th podcast. I'll probably get into soon what the podcast is going to be morphing to. I don't know. You know me. I think about a different idea every week, so you never know what you're going to get when you come. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I love the podcasts that are the same. It's the same two guys or the same four people. It's the same format all the time, and I love that. I get it, but I'm just too. The problem is me. I'm the problem with my own podcast. So I'm the issue. So if you have problems with me, it's a thing. But man, thanks. It's been so good catching up and talking more about these things and getting your thoughts on that. And we'll have you back. My goal is just to kind of, get recurring people coming in here. I'll always do special episodes on interviews I have with people because everybody's interested in something different in the music income space. But we're very like-minded in a lot of things, but yet still have our different things that work for us. And but I just appreciate your time and being here. It's been fun talking to you again.
It's always a pleasure.
We're
And, yeah,
texting each other all the time about stuff all the time anyway.
Yeah.
But so anyway, thanks for being here. And everybody, thanks for listening and watching. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.